It's like animated. I can't get it to work.
I heard that change.
We
You're
did the
unopposed.
Van Gogh one. How are you? Mexican artist and Frida Kahlo. If you've ever heard of her.
Well, you should win.
But we did those two, and I got one.
All right, let's get started. Call the Warsaw-Wayne Township Fire Territory meeting to order. And I'd ask that you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Observe a moment of silence. All right, thank you. Let the minutes reflect all are present and accounted for.
One light.
Slightly. Not too bad. Let's look at the minutes from the April 5th meeting. Those have been presented. I assume you had a chance to look through them. Are there any additions or corrections? Or is there a motion to approve them as presented?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes?
All right,
I'll second.
all right. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, welcome our visitors today. Mr. Doyle, how are you? Good. Good. All right, so reports, oral and written communication. We'll start with the monthly report from the fire service. Chief?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, evening, everybody. The month of March for Warsaw-Wayne, we had 255 calls, 42 of which were fire-related. The big fire calls, we had a house fire, we assisted in Leesburg. It was a few-hour fire. It started in the kitchen. Everybody did a really good job, considering the damage that occurred in the kitchen and stuff. It started right after the homeowners left, so it kind of smoked for a long time before anybody was able to call it in and get there. And by that time, it was already kind of in the attic, but the guys did a really good job in confining it to what it was. But we did assist Leesburg in that. We had a stove fire on 710 Wexford Place. It was confined to the oven. Crews did a great job. No other additional damage there. We had another trash fire. We had the homeowner extinguish off of 411 Perry Street. I do want to reemphasize that with the winds and the weather and the older homes with the shake shingle roofs, we want to try and eliminate. We do have the ordinance in place for a reason. We want to try to eliminate the trash fires so we don't start any houses on fire. We had a very unique grass fire off the US 60, basically from all the way from Whitley County to the border of Warsaw. A train started about 7 spot fires throughout the tracks there off the 30. So we assisted Pierston and then getting those guys did a really good job. We were able to get into areas with those grass trucks and get those hammered out before they did anything. The train stopped just before the city of Warsaw, so it was basically from Whitley to Pierston. And then we had we've had a couple dumpster fires at 1180 Polk Street, or Polk Drive, excuse me, due to a paint that they're no longer using. We've had Fire Marshal Fretz there to figure all this stuff out to where hopefully we can kind of nip that in the bud. But we have had multiple dumpster fires there, even in the recent weeks. That was about it for the big fires. Does anybody have any questions on those before we move on?
No injuries, I presume?
No human injuries. Unfortunately, in the house fire, we lost 2 dogs. Assist 2 other agency, the house fire in Leesburg, the railroad, the grass fire from the train from Pierston, and then we had another assist from Leesburg that we were canceled en route, and then we didn't receive any mutual aid in March from any other departments. So moving down, you guys can read those at your leisure. Go down to the medical calls. We had a total of 155 EMS calls between all three districts, 18 CARES calls. I do want to touch on CARES a little bit. We are in the middle of the process for hiring a CARES coordinator. It was open for a week. We had 31 applicants, and we're interviewing next month to replace Chief Wilson, who's retiring at the end of this month. So
31 applicants for the CARES position?
in 7 days.
Wow.
Is very, very impressive. Very impressive. So, yeah, we had, MVAs involving injuries, we had 6 in District 1, 5 in District 2, and 1 in District 3. One that involved extrication. It was a semi on US 30. Nobody was injured, but it was a pretty severe semi-accident. Thankfully, nobody was injured, though. Moving down, you guys can read these. For the most part, the rest of these just minute. We had some gas leaks that ended up being nothing. Some carbon monoxide detectors that just needed checked. No hazards there. Moving down to the training hours, our guys trained 1,428 hours last month. Then that can include fire, our TRT, hazmat, dive, doing a lot of diving right now, getting ready for the summer months. And community service, we had 78 hours of public education last month that these guys were in the schools, which is kudos to them. Our public service guys they're killing it. The program's amazing. They're going to every single school in the area, and the kids are having a blast with them. So I'm really, really thankful for that crew. Out of the 255 calls that we did have, 41 of them were overlapping or they happened simultaneously or back to back. Other than that, I have nothing else to report for the month of March.
All right, questions? All right, thank you. Tony, you got the Lutheran report today? EMS?
If I don't hit something that you guys want to know, I probably have it in here. I haven't done this for a while. So for March, we had 444 total encounters, and 343 of those transported. The other numbers are, we had 5 CPR, no transports, so that was dead at scenes. Called cancels about 62, and refusals of 34. Our response times, they're not broke down by district, but total for the city and Wayne Township is right under 5 minutes at 4.59 seconds. So that's fantastic. And our total transport time is about 13 minutes. With the total run time about right around 50 minutes. And we've been at that 50 minutes ever since I've been looking at numbers. So that we haven't changed there. Station 3 crew did 182 calls. Our East crew, which is down by Station 2, 227. Since we don't have a truck at the admin building all that often, that's why there's only one. That one is probably when I jumped on an ambulance. So, which, yeah, I'll keep that one to myself. Milford took 7 calls in the city. Leesburg, who covers some of that northern territory of the city, Heron Preserve, and those 26 calls, plus they're our first truck to come into the city when our Warsaw trucks are busy. And our farthest out station took 1 call in March, which is Bourbon. And it could have been, without really diving deep into it, were they already in town for something and took the call. So busiest time of the day is right around that 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. time. Has remained there for a long time. So just a couple other things to touch on with the Lutheran EMS. Right now, and this is odd, we are currently fully staffed, knock on wood. which you look at any EMS department around the country, they're struggling. So, but for some reason here at Lutheran, they like us, so we're fully staffed. A new program that we're starting with Ivy Tech is a tuition deferment until they're done with class for our EMTs to go into paramedic class. And we probably, through our Kosciuszko and Fulton division, I think we have 10 EMTs are looking to go to paramedic class starting fall, probably January, because they have some prerequisites that they have to do. So we're building, we're trying to keep our staff up. So that's a huge thing in the world right now with EMS. So you guys have any questions?
Everybody good?
No, I'm good. Thank you, sir.
All
Not a
right.
problem.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. All right, let's move into the expenditure reports. We'll start with the operating fund. You all might have noticed this year the fund numbers have changed. This is now 2243. They're 4-digit numbers instead of 3, for whatever that's worth. So again, you've had a chance to look through the expenditures. I'll give you a minute to scroll down through and see if there's anything you need to ask about.
I will note while we're talking about the expenditures that Damien stopped by prior to this meeting, and we did receive the final quote for our ladder truck, which is still in Indy. They're waiting on parts. It'll be about another $6,000 to replace the injectors, and that's what the problem is, and they're about a week and a half to 2 weeks out. So we're hoping to have the ladder back in the city in about 2.5 weeks. But since we're having our pump testing completed tomorrow, after it's fixed, it'll go back to McQueen. It'll get pump tested, so when it comes back to the city, it'll be ready to go.
I will note that the majority of the two somewhat larger expenditures are primarily fuel, but I will also remind you that we're still under that group purchasing with Lassus Brothers, so our fuel prices are significantly lower than what the average individual's paying. We're working to try and get our prices locked in next year, and it's pretty uncertain times. We're not sure we'll be able to get that done. But I know Chief Whitaker's trying. He's taking the bull by the horns, and we do both gasoline and our diesel fuel. You'll note that diesel fuel out at Ceres and our gasoline with the Lassus Brothers. I think that was a $14,000 expenditure if I saw it somewhere. So, any other questions? All right, if not, is there a motion to approve the expenditures as presented?
I shall move.
All right, thanks, Gordy. Is there a second?
I second.
Second, Jeannie, thank you. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And then looking at the equipment replacement fund, there were a few expenditures. These were for March. About $1,700 worth, it looks like. No, that's not right. It's like $10,790. That's small print. Come on.
It is pretty small.
I gotta make
when I
that a
was
little
looking
bigger.
at it too.
There we go. $10,790.
The bulk of that was from dive gear replacement, stuff that's expired, and gathering a couple more sets because our team's getting up there. We've capped it at 15, so again, getting ready for that summer month.
I will also tell you, I spent some time with the chief going through the capital budget for the next few years, and you'll see that as budget time rolls around. But Baker Tilly is working on our capital, our comprehensive financial plan, and we needed that updated capital plan. So happy that we had the chance to spend time. Garrett's got his imprint on that budget, and we'll go into the details once we start that process in a few months. So, but back to this equipment replacement fund 4410. Any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. Let's move into unfinished, or actually new business. This thing was, you can see the outline form has not been followed. There is no unfinished business, and there is two new items of business. Threw me off here on board pack, sorry about that. So the first is permission to apply for a fire training grant, infrastructure grant. Garrett, you want to address that?
Yeah, so this is more of a quick, they kind of do this a lot. They open it up and then it closes really quickly. So this is a permission to apply. We'll have more details as the time goes on. We just wanted to have the permission to apply so we can get it done. But the Indiana Department of Homeland Security has presented the Warsaw-Wayne Fire Territory for the participation of the infrastructure grant for our training facility. What this infrastructure grant will do will allow us to purchase the much-needed concrete needed at our training facility to create a safer and cleaner environment, because right now it's pretty much all dirt and rock.
So is this a matching grant, or is this
It's a reimbursement grant.
reimbursable grant?
And at this time, the amount received is unknown because multiple departments will be awarded whatever they're awarded. And currently, we're only asking permission to apply. Prior to accepting or being awarded the grant, we'll seek additional permissions and be able to provide more details to include a value. And it would just be to purchase concrete only. That would be.
How big a space are you talking?
Well, we did some measurements, and depending on, I mean, we'll pour as indicate, whatever we can get our hands on, but we want about 130 yards. It's a tremendous amount of concrete, but the problem is it's not a big area. It's got to be 8 inches thick so we don't crack it with the rigs. That's the big problem.
Yeah, it says here that the award could be up to a maximum of $50,000.
It could be.
Yep, all right. Other questions?
I guess the size I was looking for was the square footage area. Do you know that?
I don't know off the top of my head, because it's kind of like a half moon
Oh,
type
okay.
of thing. But we have it on paper. I didn't bring it with me, which I apologize. But it's equivalent to about 130 to 135 yards of concrete.
Concrete's expensive right now.
It's tremendous. Which there's also another Ozinga Concrete. It's not a grant program. They just have they just kind of give. It doesn't have to even be public safety. They just give people concrete. And we're also talking with them, but it's not hasn't anything to do with grants or anything like. It's more of a donation. So when we hear more back from that, we'll definitely bring that to the board for direction and how we proceed with that.
So does the board wish to approve applying for this grant?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, make
Got
a
a
motion
motion?
that we accept, authorize that we do apply,
All right.
however I should term that.
Permission to apply. All right, Mike, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Looks like we've got another grant opportunity. Again, Department of Homeland Security. This is training support grant.
Yeah,
This
so
looks a little different.
same department, Department of Homeland Security. However, this one is for equipment for a training facility. And I spoke with some people, and they decided that a machine box for limb hand, there's pictures as well, a copy to this. It's basically a machine box to where we can train and keep up on hand and limb extrications, whether it be from vehicle accidents or agricultural equipment that there's so much of out here. They're about $3,800 a piece, and then the other part was window ventilation props to allow us to simulate vent, enter, isolate, and search in multiple variations of ventilation and structure. They basically just kind of pop into the window, come with thin sheets of glass so we can simulate, rescue, and anything that hydraulic ventilation or vertical, whatever, horizontal ventilation, whatever we need to do on our training tower. And they're about $3,680 a piece. 3,680 a piece, and we're asking for two so we can put one on the first and second floor of the burn tower. So a total, we're asking for a total of $11,160. It's also a reimbursement grant. Prior to accepting or being awarded the grant, we will seek additional permissions and be able to provide the value that we're actually given.
So again, this one has a cap of 10,000 on it, so. All right, questions? Garrett, have these pieces of equipment been budgeted for?
They have not been budgeted for. This was brought to, as soon as it opened last week, these are the things that the guys around the station did some research on and asked. And depending on what we're awarded would be what we would pick. If it's just the machine box, we'll get the machine box. If it's one window prop and one window prop only, that's what we'll get. We don't need it all.
So it's 100% reimbursable,
Yes, sir.
but you have to have the money up front, you have to pay for it, and then you're reimbursed, correct?
Yes. We do have money in
Right.
our budget for training, so we
All right.
can cover it.
Do we have anything similar to this box now?
We don't.
I hope not.
No, we don't, no. It's actually pretty unique. It's actually the first time I've ever seen something like this. We don't really have I'm not used to all the agricultural, so it'd be good to get our hands on to kind of see the combines and all that other stuff. So, it even comes with limbs, so.
Well, with all the manufacturing we have around here too, there's lots of machines at the orthopedics and the other places, so
Absolutely.
being able to simulate that that's pretty great.
All right. Is there a motion to approve?
So made.
All right, thank
Second.
you. All right, appreciate it.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Michael, and then Brandon was
Yes.
second.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. All right, let's go to travel requests. Those are presented here. Got a dive. Zach's going to South Haven for a dive rescue 1. Active shooter exercise for Aaron, as well as damage assessment exercise. And then a dive summer training series.
So the dive summer training series, I'm actually incredibly excited about, and so is Drew. This is a class that will allow Drew to bring Dive 1 back to Warsaw, so we won't have to send people out anymore to South Haven or whatever. So it'll be, he can train the trainer, we can help out with police and us and keep everything right here in the confines of at least K County or the city of Warsaw. So it'll be fantastic. I'm really excited about it.
Will that give him, but he won't teach this summer
No,
class that
that's-
we're hosting. That's
Correct.
a different organization.
Yeah, that's Dive Rescue International, and they pay for all their own instructors that they want to come in.
But will they be doing dive rescue 1 for that?
No, it's 3 or 4 other classes. It's not Dive Rescue 1. You have to have Dive Rescue 1 to
To be-
participate
okay.
in this class.
So he's being trained to be a trainer.
Correct. He'll be able to teach, actually certify Dive Rescue 1.
And they're not going to do that here this summer, train the trainer.
No. He has to go down to Fishers to get that, and it's a week-long class. It's a big deal. But to be able to bring that back to the city will be save a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah, it looks like
especially
2
if we-
weeks. 7th to the 19th.
Yeah, week and a half.
So we have to do the training in order to bring it back? Is that?
Well, he's going to get certified to actually be able to certify other people.
Right. So he has to take this class in Fishers to be able to come back here and then do the same thing here.
Correct. Well, no, he wouldn't teach the training series class. He would be able to teach Dive Rescue 1, which is a much shorter class,
2-day.
just a couple day class. But as of right now, as you see, Zach has to go to South Haven for a couple days to take it, whereas if Drew, when Drew gets certified, we can just stay here in Warsaw and go hammer it out with PD or whoever, the county departments, whoever wants to get dive certified or start a team, we can help out.
All right, thank you for the explanation, Garrett. Any further questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the travel requests?
I make the motion to.
All right, Jeannie, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Gordy? Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right.
Just a quick comment on the dive rescue. I wanted to say this earlier. It's pretty impressive. We have 15 members of the dive team. It just shows the initiative of our guys being willing to go, do the extra things, and that's impressive. And Drew, if I'm not mistaken, is also an instructor for EMS. Is that right?
No.
He's not. Okay.
He's pretty much the only instructor. He does TRT. There's some guys that
Okay.
they got their plate full. Dive teams, they're passionate individuals, I'll tell you that. The passion runs deep with their dive. That's their baby. They love it. And I support it because we are the city of lakes, so it makes a lot of sense.
So let me ask, Dive Rescue 1, does that need to be, they need to be recertified with that?
Yes.
So is
Well,
that,
they have a certain amount of drill hours that they have to put in every single year. That's why they have their own schedule that they do, and then they work with PD every week.
but they have hours that they need to keep up with their certification?
Yes.
They don't get the hours, they don't get certified? Correct. All right.
I mean, yes.
So I assume there's a
More
Dive
than-
Rescue 2?
There is, but I don't think anybody's teaching it, and it's more for, I don't want to butcher this because I'm not super familiar with it, but I think it's for more open water stuff. Ocean
That would make sense.
type of stuff like that.
Deep water.
So remind me what kind of courses are going to be offered at this class this summer that we're hosting?
So it is like hazmat type stuff, like pulling, the biological hazmat that plants can and human bodies and all that stuff can do. Do you remember?
Salvage was one, correct?
Salvage one, sonar.
Sonar, that's
right.
what it is, sonar, thank you.
My understanding is that the dive one is the entry-level rescue dive class. It's the thing that we send everybody to. So if we can teach it ourselves in the future, it would save quite a bit of money.
Let's say $500 a pop.
Yeah.
So these other courses that are offered, are they certification courses or just like specialty courses that you gotta have Dive 1 for, and then you can do
Some
some
of
of these
them are
other things?
prereqs, but some of them are certifications. Like, some of the guys on our dive team don't want to dive, they want to be sonar technicians or tenders, guys that stay above water.
Yep,
And that allows them to do that.
got it,
Having
got
sonar
it, that makes
classes.
perfect sense.
I'm still learning a lot about ice and dives.
Okay,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
all right, well, thank you. Any other items carried forward for tonight? Chris, you want to give just a quick update on CARES? I know you're the best one to do that.
Really, there's not a whole lot of new stuff. We're still
making more headway with relationships. I had coffee today with Ted Westerhoff from Bowen Center, talking to him about the program. We're going to take that to the Housing Authority. They've asked us to present to them. They feel like their client base could really benefit from some of those things. We're going to take it to, I believe it's Systems of Caring. We're going to release it through there. We've got Karen working on the QR code that we have that allows people to go to the list of resources. She met with K-21 today. What we found out is K-21 keeps their own list of resources,
Right.
as does the Health Pavilion. Laura Deal-Decker out at the Health Pavilion has her own list, and so we're trying to consolidate that so everybody has to reinvent the wheel every time we're looking at a list of resources. So the goal will be to put that list into the schools and into the different organizations so they have that right in their hands. We're interviewing next Wednesday and Thursday for the full-time cares position, and then that person will spend some time with former Chief Wilson and myself until they're up and running and feeling comfortable. We constantly are getting calls from PD or from different organizations asking us to go out and visit with somebody. It's doing what we wanted it to. It's really busy.
Right.
So, yeah.
So the focus is on getting your director hired.
Yeah, if we can get that person hired and then we can kind of just continue to extend those relationships and build those resources. And, the reality is that, and I've said this before, it's not a secret, there are a lot of entities in this community that want to help people, but people don't know how to get to them. And so we're really trying to work on that part of things. We've had recently, Warsaw PD has really stepped up a little bit as well, utilizing us to help get people to the counseling services they need on the mental health side of things. We've even worked out a way to bypass the emergency room if there's not a need for a medical evaluation. They can go straight into the counseling system, which helps the ERs. It helps the patient so they're not financially burdened with those extra expenses. Gets the police department back in service. It's just like what you asked us to do when we started, kind of mirroring Fisher's, what they do. So I think it's working out pretty well. I think we're all just still easing into things slowly to make sure we're doing it the right way, but it is taking off. So that's good.
Thank you for your hard work. I remember that earlier meeting when kind of the light bulb went off that you guys, with your training, are able to triage at the scene and avoid having to take someone to the ER if it's not necessary. And that's a huge benefit.
It is. We just had a gentleman, without getting very specific, younger gentleman in his 20s, just was overwhelmed. Life was a little too much for him. He did not need to go to the ER, but traditionally he would have gone to the hospital and sat there for hours while they medically clear him and then found a place in the counseling system. In this case, we were able to talk to him, talk to Bowen specifically in this event, in this instance, and he went straight from the scene to Bowen Center, was kept there, got back on his medication, got back in a counseling program, got back in the system as he needed to be.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell, is what we've been trying to accomplish in that one case where it's an efficient response to a mental health crisis and utilizing our resources in the most efficient manner possible. I think that's your commercial right there. I just am very gratified by the work you've done and where we're at this point. So I know you guys will work hard to hire the right person. That's going to be a critical move. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, as far as that director goes, what are the prerequisites or the qualifications that
We kind of left it fairly open-ended because it's really just about being able to make connections with people. We've had some of the applicants were social worker backgrounds, some are fire department EMS background. Just kind of a different, it's really, and I've over 30 years of EMS experience and fire experience, and it's a different, there's no way to really explain what it is. But it's basically being a human being. We go out, talk to somebody and ask, what can I do to help you today? And they take you wherever they're going to take you. And then we have those resources in our hip pocket that we can say, let me make a phone call for you. Let me put you in touch with so-and-so. We had a gentleman I sat with in the ER. He did need to go to the emergency room for some medical clearance. I sat with him for about 2 hours. And then worked it out so that we had a counselor actually walk into the ER and start that process in the ER because of those connections we have. And that's what he needed. So, I mean, every situation is so different that it's really hard to say, you know, it has to be a social worker. Well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But those connections are what matters, so.
It's pretty amazing. We've got 31 people applying
Yeah.
in 7 days for that position, so.
Yeah, I'm excited by it. I think the community's ready for it. I think we certainly need it. So, yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, thank you so much. I kind of put you on the spot, but I know with your involvement, you wouldn't have any problem giving us an update.
I feel like I do a lot of this now.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, Chris, and thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Don't run away. Got something to sign.
Sir?
Thank you.
Steal your pen.
In an age when you can't find people to work, you get 31 people apply for one position. Wow.
My fire spot was open for 45 days. So
Here you go.
27.